Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Listen and grow as Del questions the status quo, encourages you to think differently, and empowers you to make a better life. Get ready as Del challenges core beliefs, seeks the truth, and reveals the roadmap to the lifestyle you really want. And now your host, multi-millionaire, national award-winning investor, CEO and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, Del Walmsley.
Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins. I'm your host, Del Walmsley, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. Today is Tell Del Tuesday, and with us here today is Bob DeLong and his daughter, Janine Luz, I believe it's pronounced. I don't know for sure. Bob has been a member for a long time, has done a lot of deals. Bob currently has 3 deals he's been the syndicator / lead investor in, and 37 passive deals, 13 of which have been completed. And his daughter Janine has done 4 lead deals and 33 passive deals, 14 of which have gone full cycle and sold off. So there's a lot of experience here on the show today, and we're going to turn it over because normally my belief system in life is that the apple may not fall far from the tree, but it generally rolls a long distance. And here's an interesting combination that Bob and his daughter Janine, Bob is a construction engineer, and Janine was a Montessori teacher. So if you can't get any farther apart than that apple rolling away from that construction tree, yet they both ended up coming back to real estate. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce you guys. And Bob, you want to pick it up? Tell us the story.
Well, thanks for having us on, Del. I guess my story goes back all the way to 2006, and we lived in Houston for 32 years. I worked in the engineering and construction business, like you said, and I was a talk show radio junkie, you might call it, and I heard you on the radio, and we went to the 2-day seminar that you gave, and we actually joined in 2006. Shortly thereafter, I had a change in my job situation, moved to Colorado, and so I kind of put Lifestyles on hold, not kind of, but did, but continued to listen to your radio show in Colorado, and I was always infatuated by the idea of getting into real estate. And so when we moved back to Austin in 2013, we immediately joined Lifestyles, became preferred members, and that's where the whole story started. We started passively investing in multifamily deals, and then about a year later, I retired on my passive investments. And then shortly thereafter, after I sat on the deck for a few months drinking coffee or other beverages, I decided, well, this isn't enough for me. I've really got to get deeper into this. I'm just not a guy to sit around. And so we bought our first property, a 53-unit property apartment complex in San Antonio.
All right, so you got started. Let's try to put a time frame here on how that Janine got involved here. During that time, you were just getting started. How old was Janine? Where was she at? And was she a part of any of this?
Well, Janine, let's see. You must have been in your early 30s at the time. I'm a pretty old guy. I'm already retired and 10 years past that. And so, her and her husband, they were watching Diane and I, our successes. They would come over and they would see checks laying on the countertop, and they would ask us, well, where is this coming from? And, they recognized that my lifestyle or our lifestyle was doing pretty good. Before retirement, I was talking about downsizing, and after we joined Lifestyles and actually retired, we were upsizing. So, they were obviously curious.
I'm going to just tell you I'm jealous. Those checks I've showed my kids, all of our kids, 3, 4, 5 different kids, millions of dollars worth of checks floating around, hundreds of thousands a month coming in, and they still want to be bartenders. They still don't want to do anything in life. They just want to be, dirt clods. And Janine, I assume that you took the 2-day, correct?
Actually, we took the 2-day years before 2015. I can't remember when. It was probably 7 or 8 years before in Houston with you. And at the time, Andre and I both, we had just gotten married. We were like, what is going on? We have so much stuff to do. We don't have time for this. We don't have time to get started with something else, which is so crazy to think about right now in hindsight. And then after my parents moved back to Austin, we, of course, took the 2-day again.
So your husband, Andre, what does he do for a living?
He was in hotel management. He's originally from Brazil. He moved here, worked for hotels, and then worked for Apple in the tech industry for a while before we started this. So
on the deals that you're a lead in, were all these deals with your father or just by yourself on these 4 deals that says you're a lead here?
No. Andre and I are the leads on those deals.
All right. So on the 2-day, we're going back to the beginning here. What was it that caught your attention, Andre's attention? There's always that aha moment that makes it all make sense. What was it that caught your attention? I know your dad had primed you strongly for this.
Yeah, it's very hard to answer that question because I think at that point where we went to the 2-day again, after my parents were already involved, we already knew. I mean, we talked about this with my dad all the time. So I think it was more just confirming what we already knew. This concept, I think, minimizing the taxes and the amount that we paid in taxes with our W-2 income. That was a big deal, and honestly, it was very hard for me to understand that until we were actually in the situation to understand how all of that worked. But that was something that really, really caught our attention. Again, though, at that point, we had learned so much from my parents. We really saw what they were doing. We kind of had like a little inside. We felt like it was kind of like insider information because they had already, we discussed it all the time. Every time we saw them all the time.
So Bob, let's go back to you here. Way back when you started, what was it that caught your attention? Because you're the one that's is the beginning of all this.
Yeah, well, I had listened to you on the radio for years. And, I was looking to retire, and and the way I looked at this was that it would supplement my retirement. I never imagined that I would be as successful as it turned out. And I just looked at it. I mean, I had invested in stocks and bonds and mutual funds and all this other stuff, and I had always been relatively successful. At least I thought I was. And, I just saw this as an opportunity to get some passive income to supplement my retirement. And, I was infatuated by the fact that real estate makes money 5 ways rather than just 1 way. And, it was pretty obvious to me that this would be a good way to do that. Now, in hindsight, now it's turned into much more than that. Quite obviously. By the way, I don't know if it's clear, but Andre has also retired from his corporate job, and he is working with Janine and myself to one degree or another to run our properties as well. So, this has turned into a full family business, basically.
I would like you to share with us something that came up in yesterday's radio show. It was from an email from a gentleman that said, hey, I don't understand why you guys say you're retired because you're the hardest working people I've ever met in my life. And I went through my diatribe of the fact that I don't actually do anything, but you guys are running these properties as lead investors. And I said, being a lead investor is a job. You know, there is stuff to do, but I still think that it's different than having an employment type job where you have to punch a clock. Can you share with people the difference between being a lead investor and being responsible for a company, for a business, needing to operate that? And then let's talk with Diane about what she does differently and how she does it. How do you guys see that as being better than having a job? Or maybe you don't. Maybe it's more work.
Well, it is. I mean, it's obvious. The flexibility is phenomenal. I mean, I can get up at 2 in the morning if I want to.
Bob, that didn't sound that exciting. I can get up at 2 in the morning. I don't know who you're trying to impress with that one, but it didn't go over. That went over like a lead balloon, man.
I don't do that very often, to be honest with you. But in other words, I can work when I want to, and especially in my position, because Janine and Andre do most of the work. You know, they run the properties, and I'm kind of in the background at this point. You know, I've transitioned out of it, but the flexibility is phenomenal. You know, compared to a regular job where you get in, you know, you get up in the morning, you get in your car, you go to work. I mean, a lot of people don't do that today, but they go into their room and they work for 8 hours, you know.
For us, this has changed our lives. I mean, in so many ways. We don't have to drop the kids off at school and be the first people there at 7 a.m. when they first open. And then go straight to work and then be gone all day and then run around in the evening with them. They got to go to bed at some point. Everybody has homework. You know, we've got all this stuff. We've got volleyball practice. We've got this. We've got that. And it's really, I mean, it's a lot to begin with. But when you have a full-time job, that's all day long. I don't know how people manage that. I mean, it is really, really challenging. Now it's incredible because we really do have that flexibility. You know, Andre works from home most days. He does, you know, the accounting and...
Let's hold that thought right there, okay? We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Bob and Janine and the Del Walmsley Radio Show.
Teaching you with a roadmap to creating the lifestyle you really want. Keep listening. The Del Walmsley Radio Show returns in moments.
Lifestyles Unlimited Success Stories.
If you got laid off tomorrow, what would you do? Would you have to be working at McDonald's or wait to try and find another job with the downsizing the economy? Kept on coming to meetings, even with David Fisher online and stuff like that, but still we just like, we need to make the jump.
So we kept praying for time to get this job done, to be able to find the properties. How do we find the properties? How do you find the time? And God answered our prayers, and he got downsized from his corporate job. This house was a dog, and through the rehab, I think we turned it into a little pony.
You bought the house for $73,000.
Correct.
And your appraised value actually is $144,000. You put in $45,000 worth of work, so that leaves you a net equity of $11,000 with a return on capital gain of 70%. The cash flow is $458 a month for a cash-on-cash return rate of 35%.
In-person and online learning dates at lukstudy.com.
You're hearing the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Want more life-changing knowledge? Access our podcast and listen on demand at lifestylesunlimited.com under the radio tab. Now your host, Del Walmsley.
Welcome back to Del Walmsley Radio Show. With me here today on Tell Del Tuesday is Bob DeLong and his daughter Janine. And they were, as we went to break, Janine was explaining to us how and what it has meant to their family to be a investor, even though it is a business. They are working in the business and on the business. Bob is to the point where he's just working on the business. He really doesn't have that much to do. But she was explaining how even with the job of working in the business, it seems to be better for them. So let's pick that up again. You were talking about your husband and what he was doing.
Yeah. He, the majority of the time he's working from home. He's able to take care of everything he needs to do from home. Sometimes he goes into the properties if we have technical issues. He does all of that. Any onboarding of new employees. We have, so just to kind of, set the scene, we own and manage currently 5 properties that are all within about 20, 25 minutes of each other. So I go to the properties 2 days a week, typically, for a weekly meeting. I'm there for about 5 hours. My kids are in school. And then I can work from home the rest of the time. And, if I've got things to do during the day, that's fine. I can take care of that. I can work in the evenings if I want, after the kids go to bed. The biggest thing I think for us is just the day-to-day with our family, being able to, having the ability to be there for our kids, and sit there and have time to go to the volleyball games and help them with the homework and just enjoy our day-to-day together. And then also the ability to travel and arrange things as we want to. I think time is the biggest thing that is adjusted for us, for both of us and for our family. I would say also, as far as running the businesses go, it's absolutely, we are running businesses here, and it is a massive responsibility. But the great thing is that we can control kind of how that ebbs and flows sometimes. If we're not ready to buy another property and we don't want to put that time into it right then, we don't have to. We grow at the pace that makes sense for us. And we're not, when we need to make improvements in each of the businesses, and we want to, improve the operations and bring on new programs and improve the day-to-day for our residents, we can do that. We can make those decisions. We're not going through this process of answering to the next guy who's answering to the next guy who's answering to the next guy. It's pretty quick and efficient, and we have the ability to make that happen, which is really cool.
So, Bob, let's talk about the net worth change after all these deals. You've done tremendous number of deals, 37 passive deals. 13 of those have already sold off, so there should have been some capital gain in that. 3 deals that you're a lead. By the way, do you still have the 3 deals that you're a lead in?
No, we've sold 2 of those.
Okay, so you got 1. So let's talk about capital gains, and let's talk about net worth change from when you started all this, that you thought you wouldn't barely ever have enough to retire in the standard of living you wanted to where you're at now. Give us some kind of, I don't care how you come up with it. It can be X, 2X, 5X. It could be a dollar amount. Is it worth $1 million? Now we're worth $5 million. How do you want to explain what your capital, your total net worth gain is in this type of stuff? Because at this position, you've come a long ways, and you've given over to your family now to run most of this stuff. You claim to be older. I don't think you're as old as I am, but
no,
what has it done for you?
I'm older than you are.
Are you really?
Yeah.
He wears it well.
I'm 74.
Wow, you look younger than I do. My gosh. I think I'm going to shave my white beard just to look younger. Man, you make me feel bad. All right, so what has it done for you, Bob?
First of all, it's made me look younger. No, we've done really well, much better than I would have ever expected. Now, one of the things we do is maybe a little different than a lot of leads that we've seen. We invest very heavily in our own properties. So that's always been something that I think I learned from you, is that, you want to control your money. So we have invested, so we put like $300,000 or $400,000 in every deal we do. And, our net worth, very honestly, has probably increased 7 times over the last 10 years. And, I retired, and like I said, I was in the process of downsizing. And, we've just done a sensational job. The properties that we invested in and that have gone the full cycle have averaged an average of about 54% per annual return.
That's extremely high. That's extremely high.
Yeah, and a lot of that was, some early deals we got in. The cap rates were compressing. The deals were just really good deals, and we would buy them, sell them for 2 times what we bought them for 2.5 years later. Some of my passive deals have done just phenomenal over that period of time. Quite obviously, right now the deals the projections are lower, but I see I'm really encouraged by what I'm seeing now that we might be going back to that time where the deals are just sensational again. So it's a cyclical business.
Yeah, I feel you're right. Let's talk with Janine for a second. Janine, how about your family? You've been here now 8 years, I think. You started in 2015, so that's pretty close to 8 years, 7 or 8. How about your family? What's happened with your net worth?
It's increased by 5 times. It's really, there's absolutely no way we could have had the same results continuing on the path in our careers that we were in before. I thought about this a lot. Oh, well, I could run a school. Well, that requires a whole lot of time, a whole lot of commitment in a very different way than this does. And it's not going to produce the same type of income that multifamily real estate has given us over these years. It's just not possible. So when I worked with kids, I specifically worked with kids with dyslexia, and I was a dyslexia therapist. So the kids I worked with were struggling. They felt like there was something wrong with them, couldn't figure out how to read, write, and spell, basically. And I helped them to do that in a very specific, methodical way. With families, it was a very different feeling of fulfillment than I have now. It was very individual. I knew those kids very well. I knew their families very well. And, as far as running apartment communities, changing them from this place where we rent out apartments to a community where people want to live and stay, feel like they have friends, they can come to the office, they get taken care of. It is very different. It is fulfilling in a different way in the sense that, we take over a community and sometimes it's in really bad condition and we immediately jump right into the rehab. We improve the community. The residents can see. They're coming to the office. They're bringing, it's really cool to be there for a meeting and see residents bringing in food for the manager and the maintenance team that they've made in their home. And, they're so grateful, and hearing residents come in and say, thanks for taking care of me. And, Francisco came and fixed this problem for me right away. And, we feel really grateful to be here, and seeing all of the renewals that come in reminds me that, hey, we're doing a great job. And hearing actually one one part of this business that I could not predict would affect me the way that it does is seeing our managers grow so much and call these communities their own. And that is really cool because we are also helping to improve their lives. You know, we're giving them a great place to work and reliable income and the ability to make some really great incentive bonuses that they have earned and they can take ownership for.
Well, it's a really interesting point that adults can articulate, and children, I'm sure, feel it.
Yes.
They let you know with a hug or, you know, a look in their eye or whatever, but the adults can articulate the success. Bob, yourself, engineer, business, mean, build stuff, you know. Where do you get your fulfillment from? How about, you know, raising a daughter that actually follows in your footsteps or building a giant business? Where do you get your fulfillment from?
No, honestly, Del, one of the most rewarding experiences of my life has been working with my daughter. I mean, I never imagined. I mean, our relationship has grown over the last 8-10 years immensely. I mean, we work together, we vacation together. I mean, we just have this great relationship, and my son-in-law, by the way. It's just it's the coup de grace on my entire life. It's a fulfillment that I have that I never imagined I would feel. And, you know, it gives me, I think purpose in life is extremely important in retirement. People, you know, I see people all the time, retired people that are just walking around in a daze. And, you know, their lives are not full. You know, they don't have that purpose in life. And I think this fulfills that completely. You know, I have friends, colleagues. I mean, I have such a great. I mean, we have such a great. You know, the secret in Lifestyles is that it's a social club as well as an investing club. You know, I mean, it's it's just phenomenal. Our lives have changed so much because of Lifestyles, and we owe it. We owe it all to you, Del, that had this dream that you know you would mentor people on how to grow like this.
Well, you know, it's a like-minded thing, Bob, and it took grown adults for 34 years to pile in on this thing and give back and share all their private moments. I want to appreciate you guys for coming on and doing that today. And for the rest of you out there, remember this: Bob, Janine, and all the rest of us. It's not the money. It's life. Now, have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow.
The information and opinions you hear on the Del Walmsley Radio Show are those of the host, Del Walmsley, his guests, and his callers. The Del Walmsley Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Del Walmsley Show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.